Sports Zone on the Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that sports. I'm your host, Alden K from episode 18. Here today on the AZ Sports Zone, man. The Cardinals, we got a lot to talk about regarding our beloved birds in the desert as the Cardinals beat the New York Jets at home 31-6 and advanced to 6-4 in hopes of still leading and winning the NFC West. And we got to talk about Kyler Murray a little bit too. Is he an MVP candidate? I feel like he's been playing better than a lot of quarterbacks out there. And of course, the Cardinals are on a bye week, so we are going to be talking a little bit about their future opponents for this upcoming couple weeks and for the rest of the season. And of course, with the Phoenix Suns, they are currently 9-3 as of today, and they have an NBA Cup game against the Oklahoma City Thunder today. We'll be talking about that, and of course, the Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal injuries, and Devin Booker struggling. And regarding the Snakes in the Desert, the Arizona Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte wins his first career Silver Slugger award. The Diamondbacks hired Brian Kaplan as the pitching coach. We'll talk about that. And of course, Mike Hazen planning to trade Jordan Montgomery, despite Montgomery picking up his player option. We'll get into all of that here on episode 18. You're watching the AZ Sports Zone on the iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you guys are just now tuning in, welcome to episode 18 of the AZ Sports Zone on the iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Of course, I'm your host, Alden K. So, regarding the Arizona sports segments, we got a lot to talk about, but before we do, guys, IE Sports Radio has been around for 10 years. Make sure to follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're growing on YouTube especially. Make sure to check out all of our shows whenever you get the chance. We are growing big on that, so make sure to help us grow and keep us going. Make sure to check out our website, iesportsradio.com, and if you're interested in buying any merch, make sure to check out the shop as well. And as you guys can see on the ticker, it'll come around eventually, but I'll also check out our custom pages. Mine is on the ticker right here. And then, of course, if you ever miss a show, IE Sports Radio is available on Spreaker, Spotify, pretty much anything you can think of, so make sure to go give that a look. And make sure to follow both of the Twitter accounts that I run with the IE Sports Radio account, AZ Sports Zone IE, where I retweet a bunch of Arizona sports news. And whenever a game is going on or whenever I have time, I'll just tweet my thoughts on how the teams are doing and just keep retweeting news whenever it happens. And if some big news breaks out, of course, I'll come on here and I'll be the first guy to talk about that. And, of course, my personal Twitter account at the AZTRL, where I am... That's just my personal account. I'm brutally honest regarding my teams. That is the account where I rant even more than ever and where I talk trash about other teams. So, especially LA, but, this is about Arizona. We don't care about, the meth heads in LA. So, but with that being said, guys, like I said, we have a lot to get to regarding Arizona sports. But before we do that, we're going to hear a quick word from our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals. Once again, you're watching the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Big shout out once again to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And of course, lastly, shout out to the IE Sports Radio just for letting me continue to be on here every single Friday, 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and be able to talk about my teams and give my thoughts and hopefully get your guys' opinions on them as well. Big shout out to the IE Sports Radio. But with that being said, let's get into the first segment. So the Arizona Cardinals continue to rake. They're raking. I know I'm using a baseball term, but still, they're hot right now. They're getting hot. They've won their last 4 games now. They beat the Jets 31-6. Now I gotta say, before this game, I did not expect a blowout. I did pick us to win. I said last week I thought we were going to win the game, but I think I said the score was going to be around like 27-21 or something like that. I thought it was going to be a one-possession game. I thought it was going to fall on the Cardinals' defense to deliver, and, I mean, they did deliver, but not in a close game fashion. They delivered big time throughout the entire game. They held the Jets to 6 points, and all 6 of those points came in the Jets' first 2 drives. So the defense gave up 6 points on the first 2 drives, and then after that, it was a shutout the rest of the game. So offensively, a lot to give credit for. James Conner, another hell of a game. He had an opening drive touchdown. Trey Benson, we got to see Trey Benson a lot in that game as well. I know it was a blowout, so that could have been the only reason we saw him on the field, but we did see Trey Benson quite a bit, and he was actually our leading rusher. It was not James Conner. James Conner only had, I think, 10 carries in that game. So there was a little bit of a limit on James Conner, and you could tell that they were limiting him a little bit, just taking a precaution because he did get a little bit banged up the game before. So and they limited him, but Connor still had a good game. Connor was our leading receiver. He was not our leading rusher. He was a leading receiver. So Connor led that category, and Benson led the rushing category. So the two men in the backfield, they're definitely doing their part whenever they get a chance, and they're a big reason on why the offense continues to strive. And Trey McBride, I think that's all I got to say. I mean, come on now. This man is a top 5 tight end. I don't care what anybody says. He is a top 5 tight end at least. You can make a case for top 3. I'll go that far. This dude, Trey McBride, was breaking tackles. He was getting open. There was one play against the Jets where it was a 3rd down play. It looked like Sauce Gardner was going to make the tackle and we were going to have to punt the ball. But Trey McBride broke the tackle somehow, and he proceeded to hurdle over another Jets player and pick up extra yardages for the first down. So, big shout out to Trey McBride. He's always, and I say this all the time, he's always that target that Kyler Murray can rely on. He's the most reliable target, in my opinion, that Kyler Murray has. Whenever Kyler's under pressure, whenever he needs to throw the ball quickly, he can literally dish it out to Trey McBride and let him do the rest. Or, the screen plays that we talk about that where he finds Connor on the screen or Benson, whoever's in the backfield, and they are able to break tackles and pick up the first down, which makes it very easy on Kyler Murray's part because we haven't really seen we've seen a few games, but regarding Kyler Murray, we haven't seen those games where he's that type of quarterback where he'll just consistently throw 300, 400 yards, this and that. There was an interview where basically he said, I mean, pretty much what any quarterback should say, right? It doesn't, they don't care how they play. They don't care what type of game that they play, such as are they going to run the ball more, throw the ball more? Are they going to get involved with, just consistently throwing the ball to the receivers over and over again? And Kyler Murray said he doesn't care as long as the way he plays is winning them games. He's okay with it. And the way he is playing is winning us games right now. We've won our last 4 games. They have not, actually, I forgot about this and I remembered it just now, but the Cardinals have not allowed a touchdown inside State Farm Stadium, their home, since we got blown out by the Washington Commanders in week 4, I believe. So since week 4, the Cardinals have not allowed a touchdown for the other home games that they played in so far. So they held Caleb Williams, Aaron Rodgers, and Justin Herbert to 0 touchdowns in the previous 3 games. And of course, the only away game that we played in our 4-game stretch was against Miami, where it looked like we were going to get blown out, but the offense got it clicking in the second half, and we came back and won. So it just seems like this team, they always find ways to win. It doesn't matter what scenario that they're in these last 4 games. You know what? Obviously, the Chargers game was an ugly win, but they were able to pull it off. And then the Dolphins game, even with Tua coming back, the defense made adjustments in the second half. They won. And the defense shut down the Bears and Jets in these last 2 games. So, and I know you can make a case, Jets and Bears suck, this and that. The Cardinals' defense has been beyond pathetic for these last few years. So, for them to shut down any offense, much less a generational quarterback in Caleb Williams and, of course, a future Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers, it's something that I will consider very positive for our defense, who at the beginning of the season was definitely pissing off a lot of Cardinal fans. So pretty solid for what our defense has been able to do these last few games. So, but we're 6-4 now. We're still first place in the NFC West. Something I did not see coming at all. So I didn't even think we were going to get 6 wins this year, to be honest with you. I thought we were going to get maybe 4 or 5 again. But we already have 6 wins, and we still have a lot of football left to go, guys. We're on a bye week this week, but we still got 7 games to go. And I'll get to our schedule here in a little bit. But the Cardinals are playing the best football that you can possibly ask for right now. And if they continue to play this way and win the division, we get a playoff game at State Farm Stadium. And I understand that Arizona sports have not won a lot in my lifetime, or anything in my lifetime for that matter. But one thing that I do know from being a fan of these teams is that if you get in the playoffs, anything could happen, right? We've seen it with the Cardinals before when they went to the Super Bowl in 2008. We've seen it with the Suns. They got into the playoffs. Everyone thought they were going to be a first-round exit. They went to the NBA Finals, didn't win, but hey, still got there. And of course, the Diamondbacks, last seed in the playoffs, went to the World Series. So in sports, we have seen it before in Arizona sports. So as long as we can get into the playoffs, whether it's a division win, somehow a wild card if it has to come to it, I like our chance. I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl, but I do like our chances to make some noise in the postseason if they continue to play this way. And of course, and I was looking at the playoff picture right now. Something that blew my mind is we're the only team in our division in the playoffs. The Niners, Seahawks, and Rams are currently not in the playoffs, which it's kind of crazy how our division has gone from the best division in football to absolutely mid. So, kind of funny, and it's kind of funny how we're like the tables have turned. We're on top of the division while the Seahawks are at the very bottom dwellers now. So it's kind of funny. But so I want to talk about Kyler Murray a little bit. Okay, so by the way, all my topics are the tickers for those of y'all that haven't realized it yet. Is Kyler Murray an MVP candidate? I don't like being a stats guy because I feel like the way players play, like in person, how you actually watch their game is more important than just reading their stat line. But one thing about stats is they're nice to look at if they're good stats and they don't lie. So Kyler Murray only has 3 interceptions this season, only 3, and 2 of those interceptions were from the ball being batted at by the defensive lineman, and one of those picks was when Kyler tried throwing a stupid force feed down the field to Marvin Harrison Jr. back in Week 3 against the Detroit Lions. So those are the only 3 picks that Kyler Murray has. They're not all of them except for one aren't really his fault. So his accuracy, see. I never understood NFL fans who say Kyler Murray is an inaccurate quarterback. If you look up his career completion percentage, I'm pretty sure it's around 70%, maybe a little bit less than that. So he's always been an accurate quarterback, and he's only been sacked 1 time in the last 4 games in this 4-game win streak, or 2 times maybe. But and that's not because of the offensive line, at least in my opinion. The offensive line still needs to get it together, but a lot of that is because Kyler Murray has the ability to run out of the pocket and throw the ball under pressure and run the ball if he has to. And he ran into the end zone twice against the Jets. So we all know he's the dual threat quarterback that we were kind of worried about. You know, he tore his ACL. He came back. We weren't really sure if he was going to be the same as he was in 2021. But this season, it's like he never even tore his knee, to be honest. He's running the ball as efficiently as he did in his first couple years in the NFL. He's throwing the ball just as good, if not better, than he did in his first 5 seasons. And he's in year 6 already. I can't believe it. Time's flying. But I just want to know, is Kyler Murray an MVP candidate? Look at all these other quarterbacks. I personally think Lamar Jackson, as of today, is the current MVP. But look at all these other quarterbacks. Mahomes has, I think, 9 interceptions right now. And let's be real, he's not even the reason that the Chiefs are, well, he's not the biggest reason that the Chiefs are undefeated right now. Jared Goff, he threw 5 interceptions against the Texans. Now, granted, they still won the game. But 5 interceptions in one game. Before Goff had that game, I thought that he was number 2 in the MVP behind Lamar. But now that you think about it, look, what quarterback aside from Lamar Jackson, and maybe you could still make a case for Jared Goff, but what quarterback other than Lamar Jackson has played better than Kyler Murray this year? Let's be honest. CJ Stroud's on a sophomore slump. Josh Allen, maybe. Josh Allen's having a good year. I'm not gonna lie. Who else is playing beyond better than Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, maybe Jared Goff, aside from that Texans game? Because the MVP isn't really a position award anymore. It's more so a quarterback award nowadays. I mean, the last player who won an MVP was Adrian Peterson, and he was a running back in 2012. That was the last time someone other than a quarterback won it. But back to Kyler Murray. He's not turning the ball over. I can't remember the last time Kyler Murray fumbled a ball, to be honest with you. He did fumble it a little bit against the Jets when he took that blindsided sack. But fumble the ball like in a stupid way. I can't remember the last time I saw that. Kyler Murray, pretty sure the last pick he threw was the Chargers game. So, like I said, he's not turning the ball over. His his touchdown interception ratio is very good. His passing yards are acceptable. He's finding every receiver he can open. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, and that's the same amount of incompletions he had against the Jets. I think he was 22 for 24 throwing, I believe, and 1 passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns. So I feel like, I'm not saying Kyler is going to win the MVP. I really don't think he is because, I mean, one, he plays for an Arizona team and we never get the highlights. So there's that. And Lamar Jackson is playing better than him as of lately. But I think he should at least be considered by other people and insiders. If it weren't for Kyler Murray, and you could give the defense credit all you want, but if it's not for Kyler Murray, the Cardinals would not be first place in the division right now. Hell, they might be last again with 2-8 or something like that. We saw that last year when Josh Dobbs was playing. Without Kyler Murray, they were the worst team in football. And then Kyler Murray came back, and we won right away. He came back from an ACL tear, and he played like he never even left. We won 2 straight games at one point. We beat the Philadelphia Eagles at their own stadium last season when, I mean, they were on a losing streak, but still, they made the playoffs that year. So, Kyler Murray is leading this team better than I've ever seen, better than any Cardinals fan has ever seen. How is he not in the MVP conversation? Again, I'm not saying he's going to win it, but why don't they consider him an MVP candidate right now? That's what I want to know. I'll talk about that more as the season goes. Hopefully it actually, starts being recognized a little bit. So the Arizona Cardinals do not have a game this week. They are on the bye week, which is, I mean, it's okay, but part of me is a little bit concerned about the bye week because teams that go on a bye week, or at least in some cases, not all cases, but some teams, when they go on a bye week and they come back, they never play the same. At least not the first game back from the bye week. They don't play the same. So this schedule is very interesting for the Cardinals the rest of the way. So when we come back from the bye week, we got the Seahawks in Seattle. So right after the bye week, we're coming back for a division game. So we're 2-0 in the division right now. We beat the Rams and Niners once, and we still got to play that. So we have 4 division games in our last 7 games of the regular season. And if you guys know me as a sports fan, I always say division games, anything can happen. It doesn't matter how good or how bad teams are. Division games are always the toughest games of the schedule. Even if that division opponent is winless, it doesn't matter. It's going to be tough division games. Of course, blowouts do happen in division games, but majority of the time, divisions know how you play. They study that team more than any other team for the most part. They try to really get the whole picture of how that team plays so they can get above them in the division. And that is why division games are tough. So the Seahawks, we have not beaten them since 2021. The first game of 2021 to be exact. The last time we beat them, Russell Wilson was still there. So Geno Smith as the Seahawks starter is 4-0 against us. But granted, he did beat 2 dog shit Cardinal teams that year, so it's kind of, it's kind of whatever. But the history of the Cardinals and the Seahawks in Seattle, normally we do beat them, aside from these last 2 years because we were a terrible team. But the Carson Palmer days, when Kyler Murray's healthy days, Kurt Warner days, we always beat the Seahawks in Seattle. So that game's definitely going to be interesting. And then after that, we got the Minnesota Vikings, who surprisingly are playing very good football this season. It's in Minnesota as well, and it's an early morning game. The Vikings, I'm most concerned about their defense. Brian Flores has definitely made that defense legit. Of course, Sam Darnold had a good start, but lately he has not lived up to the way he played in the first, I think, like 5, 6, 7 games or whatever. So definitely an interesting game right there. That one's going to matter on the offense for sure. We play the Seahawks right after the Vikings again. So we play the Seahawks 2 times in 3 weeks. And this one's in Arizona. I'm actually going to that game too, by the way, December 8th. I'm going to the Seahawks and Cardinals game. I do expect a bunch of Seahawk fans to be there. So, I'll get my trash talk going. Even if we lose, I don't care. I love talking trash to division rivals. So, hopefully we beat them in Arizona for once, because I can't remember the last time we did. I really can't. I think it was 2020. Yeah, it was 2020, that overtime game. So that was the last time we beat them in Arizona. So it's been 4 years. So let's get it going, please. It's our stadium, for crying out loud. Come on now. And then the next 2 games are very winnable. We got the Patriots, even though their defense has been looking better. And Drake May's not looking the best, but he's not looking the worst. So, and it's in Arizona. And then we travel to North Carolina to take on the Panthers. That should be a win. But what do I know? Any given Sunday. And then we got the Rams at LA. Once again, division game. Anything could happen. And then we got the Niners at Arizona to end the regular season. And that Niners game is definitely going to be something that might be season on the line. Because the 49ers currently have a 5-4 record. We have a 6-4 record. So if the Cardinals and Niners keep on winning, that Week 18 game could be for the division. So that might be the most important game remaining on our schedule out of these next 7 games, depending on the scenario that we are in. So, and I hate the fact that we're playing 4 division games in 7 weeks, but that's just how the schedule makers gave it to us. So, I think that this team, I really think we can win this division. With the football that we're playing recently, and with the way Kyler Murray has been able to lead the offense, with the way Jonathan Gannon has improved the defense so far, I honestly think that, fingers crossed, we're on a bye week. Normally when the Cardinals come back from a bye week, they never play the same type of football. So it would really be nice if they could keep it going on this 4-game win streak, make it 5, and if you win against the Seahawks at Lumen Field, it would be a very good start to a very good good finish. So, but yeah, that Niners game is definitely going to be something to look at depending on the scenario. So, but as of right now, the Cardinals are on a bye week. Hopefully we can get Darius Robinson back and Jonah Williams back next week. We should be getting them back. We're on a bye week, and they've had 10 weeks to heal up. So, unless Darius Robinson suffered a severe calf injury that they're not telling us about, I do expect him to at least be back next week to make his NFL debut against the Seahawks. So, and that would be a big boost on our D-line too. Our D-line has improved a little bit lately, and with Darius Robinson coming back, that just makes it even more tougher. Or at least if Darius Robinson is the first round pick that we hope he is, it would make it a lot tougher. So, we spent a lot of time talking about the Arizona Cardinals because they have been killing it lately, and I am so proud of this team. I don't care how the season finishes. We won more games this year than we did last year. So we're clearly doing something right. Monty Ossenfort is building this team the right way so far. I never understand why people bash him. I feel like it's his second year as the general manager. I feel like as of right now, he's already done more than what Steve Keim ever did in a decade. So big shout out to Monty Ossenfort. He's doing his thing so far. So let's hope the Cardinals keep it going, and we're going to go into a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about, of course, the Phoenix Suns starting 9-3 this season. Of course, KD and Beal got hurt, and they are both out for tonight's game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And, of course, we got to be talking about Devin Booker a little bit because Booker has not looked the same lately. So when we get back, we're going to be talking about the best sport in the world, basketball. Once again, guys, you're listening to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen B, host of the Show of the Land on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in live to the Show of the Land on Tuesdays, where we will cover the Cleveland Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and Monsters. We will also talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets, Crew, Fury, and of course, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll also cover other colleges in the area like Akron, Kent State, Cleveland State, Mount Union, John Carroll, Baldwin Wallace, Youngstown State, among others. So like I said, if you love Cleveland and Columbus sports like I do, be sure to tune in Tuesdays to the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you're just now tuning in, we just covered the Arizona Cardinals segment where they've been red hot lately. And big shout out, by the way, to Cash and Chris and Jen B. The video drops I just played, make sure to go check out not just their shows, but everybody else's shows. We have a bunch of people from all over the country that will update certain teams in certain states and cities, and they just do a very good job. And I'm very happy to be able to do this along with them. So make sure to go check out their shows. And of course, with that being said, let's move on to the heart of the valley, as I like to call it, where the Phoenix Suns have they haven't had a bad start. I'm not bashing them or anything, but they are currently 9-3, so definitely an acceptable record so far. They are recently coming off 2 losses against the Sacramento Kings, so the Kings are 2-0 against us. And the other loss was obviously way back in the beginning of the season against the Lakers, which I've talked about already. So, but obviously this team started 8-1, and they're obviously 9-3. You can't beat that. But something about this Suns team, I get it. Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal are injured. I'm gonna get to that in a little bit, but I feel like this bench, I felt like watching this team earlier this season, our bench has improved to where we should have the next guy up, which we sort of had the other day against the Kings. Josh Okogie had 25 points off the bench. So, in some ways we had that, right? And you also have to blame it on the guy who should be the star of this team, Devin Booker, but he has not been living up to expectations at all this season. I feel like ever since Frank Vogel was here, Booker's like he hasn't been the same guy that we used to watch. Like 2021, Devin Booker was on another planet. Like the biggest reason we got to the NBA Finals was because of him. And right now, it feels like Devin Booker is kind of a reason why we have lost 2 of our last 3 games. And it's not really something that looks promising. So, but we are 9-3. We still got 70 games on the dot. 70 games up into the regular season. We're 3rd in the West. We're tied for 2nd. The only team above us with a better record is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who we play today in an in-season tournament game. So we have an opportunity tonight. But of course, with KD and Beal out, it's a big disadvantage. Bradley Beal's actually been playing good this season. I don't know why people are criticizing him. I'm still disappointed of the year he had last year. Don't get me wrong. But this season, obviously availability is the best ability, and availability is an ability that Bradley Beal does not have. But when he has played this season, he hasn't played that bad. And there's been some games where he's looked way better than Booker, and that's sad. So, speaking of those two, let's get to KD and Beal. So, Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal both have calf injuries. Yeah, so I don't know what it is about our guys getting calf injuries nonstop. I'm pretty sure Booker had one last year, and KD and Beal now both have calf injuries that are keeping them out for at least a week. So Kevin Durant got injured. What game was it? I think it was the Mavs game. The second Mavs game that we won in. I think that was the game he got hurt. But he did play the entire game though, and he pushed through it and he won us the game. So, or was it was either that or the Sixers game. It was one of those games where he got hurt. But KD was expected to be out for 2 weeks, and we played 3 games without him, and we're 1-2 in those games. Of course, the only win was against the Utah Jazz, who are not a very good team this year. And Bradley Beal got hurt in that game against Utah, and now he's dealing with a calf injury. And according to Dwayne Rankin, he is listed as doubtful for today's game against OKC. So, taking on the Thunder today, I am a fan of what the Thunder are doing right now. I think Sam Presti is building that team very good right now. They're 10-2 for a reason. They were first seed in the West last season, but it just came down to playoff inexperience that got to them. So, and I picked OKC as a dark horse this year to go to the finals. So, I have always been aware that OKC is going to be a tough team for years to come. They still have a bunch of the picks from that Paul George trade, and they just continue to build up their draft stock. So, they're going to keep getting younger. Even as they get older, they're going to still keep getting younger. So, I don't see a way how we win tonight. Unless we have a next man up for this game. We saw Okogie score 25 off the bench. We all know Okogie's not going to do that every single game. That's just not the player that he is. So, and I'll be shocked if he does do that again. And if he does do that again and wins us the game, then sign him to a lifetime contract or something. But anyway, Mike Budenholzer, I don't know why he does not play Bobo whatsoever. I don't know if Bobo hurt his feelings or something, but we saw the same thing last year. Frank Vogel did not give Bobo a shot whatsoever. There were some little moments where he did, and Bobo delivered in those moments, but Mike Budenholzer does not seem to ever give him an opportunity. The only reason he played the other day was because it was a blowout and we lost. So that's the only reason we saw Bobo the other day. So, and Houston Nurkic is also injured too. I'm pretty sure he is playing today though, so that's why I didn't talk about his injury, because I'm pretty sure he is playing today. But Houston Nurkic is hurt, and if he is out, like I said, I think he was listed as probable. But assuming Houston Nurkic is out due to an injury, your starting center is Mason Plumlee. You're gonna tell me you're not, and you got KD out too, so it's not like you could throw him at the 5. unless you play small ball or whatever like that. But regardless of that, Kevin Durant is not playing for like at least another week. So you have Plumlee as your starter. How do you not play Bol? Is Plumlee going to play all the center minutes? Because I highly doubt it. So who are you going to put at the 5? I don't know what Coach Bud, I don't know what his game plan is. I'm not criticizing Mike Budenholzer because he has had a good start as our coach this season. But a lot of complaints I heard from Milwaukee fans is that his adjustments were never on point. And I could somewhat understand what they mean by that. Because some of the lineups that Mike Budenholzer throws out there are not, they just don't make sense. Granted, we have so much talent on this team, so it always looks like it does work. We have so much talent on this team that pretty much you're going to do something right all the time. So, just something to think about. The adjustments, I feel like Bobo should be playing more. And I know for sure I'm not the only Suns fan that thinks that. So, you tell me. But lastly, on the Phoenix Suns, before we get to the Diamondbacks, I want to talk about Devin Booker. Devin Booker has not looked like a superstar recently. I felt like with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal both getting injured, we would have seen a lot more from Devin Booker. The game the other day against Sacramento, he only had 18 points. That's not what a superstar does whenever he tends to be the only healthy superstar on the team right now. And against Utah, he did have 31 points. But like I said, it's the Jazz. So, I mean, what are we even talking about here? The other game against the Kings, Booker had 23 points and 12 assists. So he didn't play that bad in that game. But against the Mavericks, he only had 13 points and 12 assists. So that's like a Chris Paul stat line right there. If you guys remember back at the beginning of the season, Mike Budenholzer said Devin Booker was going to sort of play the similar role that he had when he was playing in the Olympics this year. I didn't know how to feel about that at first, but now that I think about it, the way Booker played in the Olympics, he tended to find open teammates. He tended to dish the ball out a lot better to other teammates, and he was a facilitator. Like, he would score when he was in his mid-range spot, go in the paint, shoot the three, this and that. We haven't seen him do that a lot this season, especially from the three-point line. And it's almost like he lost his mid-range touch or something like that, because he's missing shots that he would not have missed a few years ago. And it's not like he's getting old or anything. He's not even in his 30s yet. He's in his prime right now. So I understand it could be a little slump. Athletes go through slumps no matter what. I get that. But with KD and Bradley Beal out due to an injury, your second best player aside from Booker is probably Tyus Jones, who is kind of like a lower version of Chris Paul, basically. That's basically your second player. How are you not scoring the most points on the team on every game? I mean, Okogie off the bench in less minutes almost had a 30-piece. And Booker is getting open shots. It's not like he's getting double team. Well, he is getting double team now because, KD, and now that KD is out, they can't focus on him. They focus on Booker. So there are moments where he gets double team now. I get that. But just due to the fact that we have so many playmakers on this team and so many defenders that will give this team possessions, like I always say, the biggest issue that we have right now is the rebounding. We still struggle to get rebounds consistently, and we tend to give up a lot of offensive rebounds. There's no reason that other teams should be doing that, but I digress. So, Devin Booker hopefully will turn it around starting tonight. We're taking on the Thunder, who is probably the best team, aside from Cleveland, the best team in basketball right now. A lot of people don't talk about it. But OKC is doing their thing. So, and this isn't, I don't care about the in-season tournament. I'm just going to get that out of the way. I could care less who wins the NBA Cup. I mean, that's like another Lakers COVID title to me. So I could care less about that. So, but, like I said, a big opportunity against OKC. And if we beat OKC, we would go ahead of them in the standings. So, hey, that's a good start to improve Devin Booker. You shouldn't be struggling like this. You really shouldn't. You're the leader of this team. This is supposed to be your team. And quite frankly, Kevin Durant has been leading this team in pretty much any category you can think of as of lately. So hopefully Booker can get it going. But like I said, we're taking on the Thunder tonight. Hopefully they win. It's a little bit earlier than a normal Suns game. It's 6 o'clock my time. Normally Suns games are like at 8 o'clock or 8:30 even, so it's crazy. But an earlier game that I'll be able to watch, so not that bad. So we're going to go into another quick break, and when we come back, guys, we're going to be talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks, how Ketel Marte won the Silver Slugger. Of course, we all predicted that, or at least all realistic MLB fans did. And we're going to be talking about the Diamondbacks hiring Brian Kaplan as their new pitching coach and Mike Hazen on Jordan Montgomery trading plans. So once again, guys, you're listening to the AZ Sports Zone on the iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
welcome back to the Easy Sports Zone on the Ice Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you guys are just now tuning in, first off, big shout out to not just those two shows, but every other show. Make sure to go check out everybody's shows if you ever have an opportunity. Like I always say, my show every Friday at 1:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I just talk Arizona sports, and because I love them. And we just wrapped up the Phoenix Suns segment. We talked about the Cardinals and Suns today. And of course, next episode, we're going to get back to college football and college basketball as well. ASU and GCU recently went at it, actually, and ASU won in very good fashion. So as the season continues on for college, I will update on that as well. So for the final segment of episode 18, let's talk about the Diamondbacks. And let's start it off with a strong applause for Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte has won the second baseman Silver Slugger in the National League. It's his first career Silver Slugger award. This was a no-brainer, right? I mean, come on now. Ketel Marte, who was the MVP of this team by far this season. I'm a little bit biased, so I say he would have won the MVP if he never got hurt. But still. Big shout out to Marte, though. He deserved it. He definitely was the best player that we could have ever asked for this season. Obviously, Christian Walker, who won the Gold Glove. Hopefully we can re-sign him as free agency continues. And obviously bring in some other guys as well. Bring in another pitcher. I'll get to Jordan Montgomery's trash ass here in a second. But yeah, with that being said, a big shout out Ketel Marte, who had almost 40 homers last season, or this season, I should say. Deserved it. Big time. Big time. Deserved it. So, this move that the Diamondbacks made, I consider it a big success. So, the Diamondbacks have hired Brian Kaplan as the pitching coach. So, he was the assistant pitching coach this year for the Philadelphia Phillies. So, I know he's the assistant, so he wasn't like the head pitching coach, this and that, but regardless of that, I remember when the Phillies had the best team ERA at one point in the season before they collapsed after the All-Star break. Excuse me. But there was a point where Ranger Suarez had a 1 point something ERA. Zach Wheeler was dominant as usual. Who was it? Sir Anthony Dominguez, was that the guy? Or no, Christopher Sanchez, excuse me. Christopher Sanchez, another guy who had a 1 point, an ERA that was under 2, I should say. So they had three pitchers at one point last year where you could somewhat say that they were an ace pitcher. So I like this move just based off of that alone. It's going to be interesting to see how he shapes up the Diamondbacks pitchers because we had one of the worst pitching ERAs in baseball this season. And pitching eventually, obviously, was the reason we missed the playoffs. We were a good pitching crew away from probably going back to the World Series, to be honest with you. I still believe that had we got in, we would have gone back. So now it just all depends on what pitchers are going to be on this team next season. We talk about Zach Gallen. He is on an arbitration year, but there have been many rumors that we are going to extend him, which honestly I wouldn't mind, even though he had a terrible year this season. I wouldn't mind having him back. It was just one bad year, so we'll see how he responds next year under this new pitching coach. Brandon Pfaadt looked good. Brian Nelson had a hell of a second half of this season. Eduardo Rodriguez was dealing with injuries, so I don't really bash him as much as other Diamondback fans do. But we'll see. Hopefully he gets better next year. And, of course, Jordan Montgomery, who sucks and should not be on this team at all. Speaking of Jordan Montgomery, after opting into his player option, Mike Hazen has, or the Diamondbacks organization has came out and said that they do plan to trade Jordan Montgomery, and they do plan to take a lot of eat a little bit of the salary of the $22 million option that he picked up. So This sucks because I feel like every single offseason we always deal with these pitchers that we expect them to be good and they just suck. Like Jordan Montgomery, Madison Bumgarner, Zach Greinke. It's like this just adds on to another one of those players. So with Jordan Montgomery potentially being traded, that would leave us with a full 5 starting rotation of Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, Ryan Nelson, and Eduardo Rodriguez. But honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Monty wasn't the only one that got traded. There have been rumors that the Diamondbacks are linked to Japanese pitcher Roki Sasaki. Not saying we're going to get him, but if we're rumored, it's not out of the ruling that Montgomery isn't the only pitcher that gets traded. Now, honestly, just because the Dodgers spend billions and billions as it is, Sasaki will probably end up going to the Dodgers, so it is what it is. Have fun rotting there, I guess, but basically it's not out of the ruling that we potentially go after another pitcher because, I mean, come on, we had the 4th worst ERA of pitching last season. Chances are with a pitching lineup like that, you're going to cut some of your pitchers, not just one of them. You're going to cut some of them. For all we know, Zach Gallen could get traded. For all we know. It's not completely out of the ruling yet. The only one that really is out of the ruling of getting traded is Merrill Kelly because why would they pick up his player option? I mean, come on now. So they picked up his player option, and obviously Eduardo Rodriguez signed a 4-year deal. He's probably going to stay. Brandon Pfaadt, he should be staying, but what do I know about this organization? So Zach Gallen, Ryan Nelson, and Jordan Montgomery are the 3 pitchers that could go. I'm not saying they are going to go. I know for sure Montgomery's going to go, whether he likes it or not. I mean, but then again, what team is going to want to trade for him? Let's be honest. What team is going to want to trade for this guy who had an ERA over 6, literally gained weight, looks fat as hell now, too lazy to run after a baseball when it goes his way, too lazy to try to make a play on the baseball if it's, like a liner or something like that, too lazy to run to first if the ball goes far in between first and second base, and his ERA was over 6. So there is that question. What team is going to want this guy? Do you want to call Chris Young of the Texas Rangers and see if he picks up the phone to get a good old reunion? I remember when Rangers fans were bashing their GM for not bringing back Montgomery, and now their GM looks like the smartest guy on the planet right now. It's so hilarious. But then again, that is how I will end that closing segment. What team is going to want Jordan Montgomery? Because it's really questionable. What team's going to want to take up all that money, eat up all that salary, along with us, because we're paying most of his contract if he does get traded. But then again, what team's going to want that? I know there are teams that do need pitchers, so there may be a team that is desperate. But this guy sucked last year, so I'll end with that. So anyway, guys, that does it for episode 18. We talked about the Cardinals, how they continue to remain hot, the Suns, who hopefully will get it going without KD and Beal, and of course the Diamondbacks. Some good and some bad. There might be a Christian Walker free agency signing next week when I go live, whether it's with the Diamondbacks or whoever else. I know the Yankees are interested in him too, so hopefully he doesn't go there. But a lot to come up for Arizona sports. Obviously, the Cardinals are on a bye week, so we will not be seeing them play this weekend, but I will talk about their game next week against the Seahawks. And, of course, we'll continue to talk about the Phoenix Suns. Hopefully they continue to go on their little hot streak that they've been going on. Of course, the Diamondbacks, if any other free agency news breaks out, I'll be the first one to tell y'all. Once again, guys, make sure to follow my Twitter account where I retweet news at AZSportsZone.IE. If I'm not going live on here, I will retweet news and get my thoughts on Twitter, so make sure to go check that out. But once again, guys, I really want to say I appreciate you guys for swinging by. Make sure to like the stream on the way out. And if you guys missed the show, feel free to rewatch, give your thoughts. Really appreciate you guys who swung by, though. It really means a lot. And this has been a very great episode on the AZ Sports Zone. Next week, we will be talking about the same three teams, and of course, as ASU continues to play college basketball and continue to dominate in football, we will get back to college football next week. Once again, guys, I go live Fridays at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, once again, appreciate you guys for swinging by. Have a great weekend. Best of luck to your football teams. I will be watching other teams since my team will not be playing. But have a great rest of your weekend, guys. See you guys next Friday, and we are out of here.